Distillers Edition, double matured in Pedro Ximenez. Seasoned Ximenez, is that what you said? Mm-hmm. Seasoned American oak cask. However, I have to cover my eyes because it won't. Yeah, you can see it. This is not the first bottle of today because our man here actually broke this same bottle earlier, and he is going to explain to us the situation so that you can all mourn with us. After we mourn a little bit, we're going to get in and taste this, see what it tastes like. I'm going to start a GoFundMe for Chaston's broken Lagavulin bottle. But what was this? Was it like $130?
So after tax, it was about $130 MSRP.
What happened?
So got my bonus the other day, super excited to go try to grab a bottle or two, and they had a couple different things, but this was one of them. And I was like, hey, there's not too many people that are going to grab Scotch that are mostly there for bourbon, so I was like, there's a chance I can go up and grab one of these.
There was 2 left when I was there, so there were only 2.
Went on my lunch break to go pick up the bottle, got there, actually had a couple different bottles that I ended up picking up while I was there, but this was one of them. And so while I was checking out, normally if you're there, the staff have been there for a while, they know what they're doing. If you grab like more than like a bottle or 2, they'll typically give you like maybe a brown paper bag, or they'll give you like a box.
Yeah.
Especially on drop days like today. They'll have a ton of boxes sitting behind the counter where they broke stuff down from the shipment that day, and they'll just give you a box. That way you don't have to, carry these cumbersome 3 bottles with you whenever you're coming home, and you won't drop your bottle. Well, I was given my 3 bottles back in individual brown paper bags. Being that I was on my lunch break, I was in a little bit of a hurry to get back in time for work. I didn't think anything about it, though the thought did cross my mind to ask for a box, but left
you made it from the store to your car, okay?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Perfectly fine coming to the car, no problems whatsoever. I get home and I start to take the bottles and get out of the car. One in each hand, another one tucked here in between the arms, crest as lightly, strongly as I could. As I started to get out of the car, said bottle slipped out of my arms and busted on the pavement.
So that was the one that you were holding like this?
Yes, it was. That was the one most cherished. And shattered.
How long did you stay in the parking lot to mourn this? And everybody, please take a second to mourn. If you're a Lagavulin drinker and you just know, and if by some chance in the universe Nick Offerman is watching this video, hopefully he understands and will potentially pay for another Lagavulin Distillers Edition. That would be amazing. Not a sponsor, by the way, but maybe one day. Can we just take a second to honor this fallen member? Anyway, how long did you sit in the parking lot looking at your broken bottle?
So as soon as I dropped my bottle, I was just in shock. For half a second, I did like an inventory. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Was it the Lagavulin or was it one of the other 2 bottles that I bought? And it became very apparent from the smell that wafted up that was definitely my Lagavulin that I busted. So I literally...
Did you get on the floor and lick the pavement?
Like sunk down the side of my car and just sat on the pavement with my car door wide open for probably a good 2 minutes, trying to take in the magnitude of what I had just done. I am still recovering from that. I've probably got some mild trauma from it that I'll need to go to counseling again for.
Were there any pieces of glass you were trying to
I mean, I went to... So when I finally picked myself up off the ground, I went to pick up what was left of the bottle and just completely shattered. I was thinking to myself, maybe if the bottom half of the bottle held together and there's a little something left, I might be able to put that through a coffee filter and then get something out of it. Completely gone, completely shattered. I grieved.
And then you drove back and got the other one.
And turned back around and put the other one on the credit card. So here we go.
We couldn't let it go. All right, so I'm not going to touch it. I'll let you open that up. Oh, okay. That's a nice, strong sound. Okay.
So good.
Oh, my God.
This is one of the best parts of the whole experience.
I can't.
Guys, you don't even understand.
Let me get it.
So basically, this is a special Distillers Edition Lagavulin 16. And so this one's been double matured in, like you said, Pedro Ximenez seasoned American oak casks. This one's 43%, so very comparable to the 16.
It's getting really low.
We do like our Lagavulin. And again, 43%, so the same ABV here.
All right.
Don't waste a drop.
Give it another little smell.
Here we go. Now that's in the glass.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh. I feel like if you're ever having a bad day and you can just go over into your collection and just open that up and smell it, and you'll just instantly have a better day. Maybe drink it depending on how bad your day is. I don't know. 2, 3 in the afternoon, I just go over there and just open something and smell it. And then I'm later. Later. we're gonna get into this.
I will say that this smell wafting up off of concrete at noon is not the best smell. That being said, this is pretty great.
All right, are you ready?
All right, dink it.
Ooh,
that is just smooth.
very smooth.
Very
almost a little more like fruity. I mean, it does say oaky casks, seasoned in American oaky casks.
So these Pedro Ximenez casks, if I remember correctly, is like a sherry cask. So it's going to have a little bit
Raisin
of
sweet.
Yeah, that raisin, cherry, plum type sweetness to it, and it does have a little bit of that finish. But like, this is one thing that I love a lot about Lagavulin. When they do things like this, it's always very well balanced, and it's not like super overpowering.
Yeah.
It's like just enough to complement the flavor that was already there.
Yeah. Dark smokiness that intensifies as the peat grows. Do you get that lingering? Like now that it's set. At first I was like not let down, but at first I was like, wait, where is the intense smoky peat? But now that it's been sitting here, I'm like, oh, my mouth is like hot.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And that's the thing, like if you're not used to drinking these Islay scotches that are like peated like this, that peat sometimes can be overwhelming. But the thing that I really like about Lagavulin is they do a really good job of balancing the peat and the smoke to where it's not overpowering. Anything that they add in addition is always very well incorporated and balanced with those other flavors to where you don't have one flavor that's just going to overpower the entirety of the other flavors that are in the bottle.
So the second taste is always a little bit different, I would say. And typically doing tastings across the board, no matter if it's, I mean, I don't know about gin or vodka, but typically in the bourbon world, the second taste is always very important. Now, some go as far as to say is that the first taste is like garbage, like just you don't even warrant it. I don't think that's true or fair. I think that the first taste is totally fine. I don't know why people would say that, unless you just like haven't drank in 6 years and you're just starting to get into it and your palate needs to be whatever. But so the first taste was good, but the second taste, now that it's the peat grows a lot faster.
Yeah.
Right. This one's very, I would say, more peaty than smoky.
Yes, I would definitely say that's the case for this one. Like, yeah, I mean, typically, like when you're drinking whiskey, like if you've not had any whiskey that day, like your first sip is always going to be a little hot. Like alcohol is going to hit a little different. And so that second sip, like he was saying, is always going to be different because of that. So once you kind of like prime your mouth and prepare it for the next sip afterwards, you don't have as much of that burn and you're able to get more of the flavors on the back end. Yeah, with this, you're definitely getting a little bit more of the peat, which I'm a fan of.
Oh, yeah.
If, you know, you're new to Scotch, just know that Islay Scotches are going to have that peated flavor that are going to be a little bit more intense than like say like your Macallans or other like Speyside whiskeys, things like that. And so it's going to be something you might want to ease your way into. And I would say Lagavulin is probably a good entry point for that because of the fact that they're so well blended and so like balanced in that regard. It's not going to be overpowering and just overtake you in a lot of ways, but this has like a little bit more peat, which I'm a fan of.
In comparison to the 16, being that these two are both 16, I feel like when we go back to this one, obviously it'll be that classic taste, but I wonder if we'll like miss these kind of fruity-ish, like raisiny, lost cherry in the background, which is not common for Lagavulin. Like those kind of cherry floral notes, unless you've got that 12 special edition, that's that floral one with all the flowers all over it.
Yeah, the special edition ones like that, like the 12 year that he's talking about, like those typically are more kind of like, I wouldn't necessarily say experimental, but they're doing more than what they would normally do with their like main line of whiskey. And so I would say that this Distillers Edition is just like a more nuanced version of what the 16 already is. So I think it's more like, what I would say is like maybe, I don't know if I go as far as say like improve upon it, but it's just like adding just some additional flavors to sort of enhance what's already there.
They're just doing something a little bit special, right? They're just doing something a little bit different with these double matured, right, in this other cask.
Yeah.
All right, give it a little cleanse here. Just gotta rinse the glass a little bit, guys. You can tell we're getting towards the bottom just because it's like such a weak, like, you know, like this sound is like like so low. All right, then we're gonna give this a little taste just to see how we're differing. And this is granted a little bit low to the bottom. Smell wise, it's just it never disappoints. Like it's just that classic peaty smoky taste. I don't know how else to say it.
Now that being said, coming from the Distillers Edition, there is a little different smell in the nose for sure.
Yeah. There's a less floral, raisiny, licorice smell. Yeah. This one definitely has the vibes. I mean, it even says down here. But this definitely kicks the smoke back up a notch.
Yeah, for sure.
I think the 16 does. You know what? I haven't. Maybe it's just because I haven't had it in a while, but this one is also just very smooth, and I don't remember it being super smooth. Sometimes I want that punch in the face is what I mean. Like I want that peat, you know?
Yeah, this one's definitely smoother. And like I said, like that's what Lagavulin has always been, is just more of a balance of all these flavors.
Yeah.
Like you can definitely tell the peat's there, definitely tell the smoke is there, but it's just more balanced. And so I think with this bottle, it's maybe a little bit more intense, but very mild difference between the two, I would say. Like you would have to have drank as much Lagavulin as the two of us have drank to be able to really notice a drastic difference between the two of these.
I mean, but the only thing that's really massively drastic is, like I said, those undertones of that kind of licorice raisin, which is very apparent in this because you and I we've had that one that Gabe has of the Distillers Edition. That was a long time ago. Yeah. And we commonly pull this out all the time. Yeah. So it's easier to note when you pull something out like this that's brand new and you're like, oh, that does taste a little bit different. True. But tasting them side by side like this, can I say I miss this a lot? I don't miss it a lot, but I'm like really glad that we have this different experience. You know what I mean? Like it's very different.
My sorrow and grief has deepened.
Price wise, I don't know where you are in the world, but typically the 16, which is like the flagship 16 Lagavulin, is typically about $90 to $100 retail, and that's where we are in North Carolina. So state run by the ABC gods, it's gonna be about $100. Maybe it'll be a sale for $95. Now, if you're like my buddy out in Vegas, you can get this sucker right here for like $70. And I'm telling you right now that buying this for $100 every time definitely kind of hurts a little bit. But if you can somehow get to Vegas and buy this for $70, that would be awesome. Or if you're in a different state watching, let me know in the comments how much it is in your state. If you could say like, but Minnesota, whatever. Like, let me know what the price is. I haven't gone and Googled it. But the Distillers Edition for us was $130. After tax. Okay, so for a special edition, I think that is relatively fair. That's about what we paid for some of those other special 12-year. I mean, we even paid upwards of $160 for the extremely special bottle. Or I think it was $140, $145 or something like that. I don't know how much this would be in other states. I don't know if a state like Nevada for Las Vegas would be for this because they're more interested in the flagship stuff. But I would be interested to know what the price of that difference is, because if we use our booze app, it'll probably say average MSRP $1, and then it'll say fair price $200 or something like that.
I would not expect, like if you're going off MSRP, I wouldn't expect there to be a wild drastic difference. But if you're in a state where it's privatized, I mean it's no holds bar at that point. Like this bottle could be $500, but it's like for us that one, I mean it was like $128 and change, so right at that $130 mark. For me, for this special edition, that's definitely doable. I mean, like you said, we've got some pricey bottles over here. Yeah, you can get pretty pricey on Scotch. We paid that extra bit for that import tax and everything, so that always hurts. But
yeah, if you're just getting started, like if you just happen to like decide to get into Scotch and you saw like Parks and Rec or something and you noticed Nick Offerman drinking Lagavulin, and then you went to YouTube and you're like, what does Lagavulin taste like? I would not recommend getting started with the Distillers Edition just because of that price point. Yeah. And I don't even know if I would get started with the 16 because of that price point. I don't know, unless you're just have the cash to blow, or if you have just obviously a very, very stable job. I'm sure some do. There are other Scotches and we can talk about in different videos, like getting into Scotch. Here's what you would want to go check out. Like Lafroig has some really great intros. Ardbeg has some really cheap, good introductory Scotches. Hopefully you all have enjoyed watching us and Chaston struggle for the last of what was probably 6 hours today in agony, but we did finally make it slightly worth it being able to taste it. So the Fallen Brethren, we actually got his stranded brother. You ended up basically getting both of them.
I bought out like every bottle that they had of it for the day. So, I'm not hurting so much over like the money as much as I am the fact that I just busted a rare bottle that I will not have a chance to probably buy another one of. It is what it is. We move on.
Also comment below if you feel Chaston's pain and if you've ever broken a bottle before. I'm sure he would be glad to commiserate. It would be great if you hit that subscribe button to become a ferret. You can be clever like we are. You will get a jacket in the mail. I'm just kidding. You will not get a jacket in the mail. But maybe one day when we have enough money to provide you a jacket. So subscribe.
You shouldn't subscribe. You should just give them money, because that's really what they want. They don't want subscribers.
Bar ain't gonna buy itself, guys. We're just a bunch of lushes.
Pretty much. Not wrong.